Guys, the patch is live, and this time it is only buffs because Worlds is next week, and they probably don't want to affect Discover Hunter and Cycle Rogue too much. So let's just jump into it. We're going to start off with Rafaam. Rafaam is getting 3 buffs. First up is going to be Green Rafaam, which is going to go from giving just minions in your hand, or Rafaams in your hand, +2, to also giving minions on the battlefield, +2/+2. And then Tiny Rafaam is same thing. It's also going to go from just giving Deathrattle to Battlecry, draw a Rafaam, which will make it easier to weave through your deck. And finally, Warchief Rafaam is going to go from needing to control another Rafaam to just having one in the hand, and especially so with so much extra draw on top with the Tiny Rafaam. It's probably going to be guaranteed. Rafaam is honestly not in the worst spot. I think a lot of like control warlock decks are pretty reasonable. It's just the loss of Ancient of Yore and now Defense Crystal leaves you like really vulnerable. But the biggest thing about Rafaam is that you just flat out die if your opponent has a Dirty Rat and a Ham. And some people are still playing Warrior, which gives a lot of accessibility to Ham, but there really aren't too many Dirty Rats in the format. I don't think this is going to make it like super well in the ladder, but at the very least, like, it's going to be a little bit more viable, and you'll be a little bit less vulnerable in the mid game to just getting run over by aggro decks. Going to move on to Demon Hunter here with the Eternal Hold. The Eternal Hold is going to go from just getting a demon that costs 5 or more to discover a demon that costs 5 or more. And this is pretty similar to the Quest Hunter buff, because now it can also get any demon, which means that it can get things from outside of the Demon Hunter class, even though it says discover. This is actually fairly big deal. I mean, your next minion is going to cost 0, which means that any minion that you have, even the ones that like you didn't discover. The problem is that the location is just so expensive, but I do like this card. I played it a lot in the Theory Crafting stream before the set had released, and I thought that this was pretty reasonable. It's just like super expensive. The second Demon Hunter card that's going to be buffed here is Solitude. Solitude's going to go from 2 mana, discover a minion if your deck has no minions, to 3 mana, discover 2 minions. Which honestly, like, kind of doesn't make as much sense to me. This feels like it got worse. This doesn't feel like a buff at all, because 2 and 3 are like, 2 and 3 are pretty significantly different numbers. The idea is that you would want to have more minions to supplement the board, but a lot of the minion cards, or a lot of the no minion cards, I should say, are probably just fine. Like the 4-drop that summons 2 3/3s are pretty good on its own. The question is, how do you get to that and how do you pay off that? But discovering 2 minions, first of all, Demon Hunter minions, which are not that great, it would have to like specifically be Window Shopper, and then you can get 3 mana Window Shopper and then try to pay off that way. But this actually like kind of feels like it got worse. Next we'll move on to Druid. Highborne Mentor is going to go from 8 mana, get a 2/2 pupil that learns a spell from the past, to 7 mana, which this card has shown up a bit. Krona is becoming a lot more popular. And while Highborne Mentor isn't really the card that's like being paid off out of Krona in favor of like Aulinius and Ziliax, there have been a couple of versions that are just playing large things and trying to get access to minions alongside of like Final Frontier and other just large spells. 1 mana is probably not going to be the difference maker, but this card has been showing up, so it probably could show up again. And then the other Druid card is going to be Kaldorei Cultivator. Going to go from 3 mana, 3/4 to a 2 mana, 2/3. Same thing. I mean, ideally this would be something that would be paid off with Krona again, but the stat line I don't think is really going to be as justifiable. It is going to be a 2-drop. It is going to be included in a lot of like randomly generated 2-drop pools, but then it's just a River Crocus because you're not really getting the Battlecry. So hopefully this will be randomly generated, I suppose. Next up is Divine Augur. It's going to go from a 5 mana 5/5 to a 4 mana 4/5. A bit more active, we'll say, because it's not just going to be, it's a little bit cheaper, but There isn't really a deck for the hand buff priest anyway. Maybe if Imbue priest winds up popping up again, maybe this will be something that could be randomly generated, but it's just going to go a little bit cheaper. It's probably not going to see like too much play. The second priest card here is going to be Power Word Barrier being buffed. Going to go from 2 mana, give a character Divine Shield, and give minions in your hand +2 health to 1 mana. Kind of the same, honestly. I mean, it fits into Imbue because it gives you a lot of flexibility, but there isn't really an archetype. I mean, directly giving something Divine Shield and then being able to put something a little bit higher health in your hand isn't that great. But it also like winds up showing up a little bit more often with the Elise location, since this is a card that you can generate. What would even just Protoss Priest again, I suppose. Next up, moving on to Mage with Timelooper Toki. Now, Toki actually has been showing up quite a bit on the ladder. It's mostly just surrounded by like all the good stuff, like the good neutral stuff, like Elise, Killjaden. Even Steam Cleaner winds up seeing a lot of play because it gives you action versus Quest Warrior. And one of the more difficult parts about Toki is that you have to actually cast her again after you've completed the 4 spells. The spells themselves, honestly, like really aren't that bad. It's the rest of the format's aggression towards you, and then putting yourself into a spot where you can like chain that into either killing them or either playing for Killjaden to get there. So 3 mana 3/3 honestly like is probably like not that bad. I think that the deck right now is pretty close, and if you just like play a 3 mana 3/3, you're probably at least going to have action into 4, and then it's still like a body that will protect you into your Elise turn. And last but not least, we have Cardboard Golem, the Paladin card, to go from 4 mana 4/4, increase the duration of your auras, to 3 mana 3/3. This card is actually from Whizbang's Workshop, so it's quite old, but I definitely think that it fits into the Aura Paladin archetype. And Aura Paladin, similar to Toki Mage, has actually been seeing like quite a bit of play. I think it's pretty similar in that the Paladin deck just kind of has these gaps in time where you need to supplement the board, and having a 3 mana 3/3 that will buff the auras and allow you to play a little bit more linearly is actually like pretty good, especially because it leads into the Tankjaneer, which leads into Cubicle, and then you can have a little bit more to play for so that you can fit in the 8-drop and then start summoning auras. I'm actually kind of curious to see how this one's going to pay off, because it really feels like this is a card that fills in a gap in time that the Paladin deck has. And that's the patch for now. Will this be a super impactful change to ladder? I mean, probably not, but hopefully this gives us a little bit more to experiment with until we make it to the mini set. If there's anything that I missed, let me know in the comments or on Twitch, and I'll see you in the next video.